How are we doing, folks? Welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin. We are talking today about the greatest band to ever come from Liverpool. No, not that band. This band. We're talking about the new album from Carcass, Torn Arteries. Awesome. I love this artwork. We'll talk about that in a second. It turns out Iron Maiden weren't the only band that was sitting on an album really for 2 years. Don't forget, pretty much, we were just coming into the arse end of September now, but in October last year, so just under a year ago, we got the Despicable EP. There was 4 new songs on this. One of them, Under the Scalpel Blade, is on this, but it's the same recording session. So this was recorded, started in 2018, finished in 2019. All the same recording session. So keep this one in mind, because it seems to have... it seemed to go as quickly as it came, really, didn't it? It was, people kind of moved on pretty quick. But yeah, let's get into this new one. I thought Surgical Steel was... It's been quite a while now since that album came out, and I thought the line was drawn, the itch was scratched, and that was pretty much it, really. So it's nice to get a new album from them, and also it's... 2013, I'm just looking it up. It was a while ago now. But, I'm glad to get a new album. We tend to think when bands reform and do an album, it's just one and then that's it. But, what are we... With At the Gates, 3 albums in now? I mean, Onslaught, you got 4 albums for them. They've been reformed longer than they were originally together. But... what's really cool about this as well is that it isn't just another Carcass album. I mean, they've evolved and moved forward with this release as much as they have any other release, really. I mean, I think Surgical Steel was a good way of combining all the different elements and sort of the eras of the first 5 albums. Obviously, you've got like the grindcore with the first 2 albums. You've got death metal on the third album. They take things in a melodic direction for Heartwork, and then in like a bluesier, rockier version for Swan Song. For better, for worse, I know that album divides opinion. I personally love that album. You take that album on its own terms, take it for what it is, meet it, on its own terms, and that's, I think it's a great album. And those songs do work live, and it's great seeing the band live. I saw them on the Surgical Steel tour, and all the songs from all the different eras just mixed together. It just puts together like a real nice, conducive set, and they all just fit and blend together. And I think this is going to be, Surgical Steel and this are great additions to that body of work, really. Let's get into I think that's fantastic artwork, and we'll go through the booklet quickly. So it basically goes like a flick book, like, and each page it sort of gets more, it degrades, and you go, and then up to the end, the final one, and then you got on the back here with a load of animal carcasses, in good Carcass tradition. Obviously the knife and fork there as well. You got that when the digipack opens. For those of you that got the dinner plate edition, I did bring a smile to my face. I'm a little bit, I don't know, I was tempted to get it. I'm a little bit gutted that I didn't, just for novelty's sake. But it's, where would I put it, But I did see an unboxing video earlier. It does look very cool. But yeah, I really like that concept. And I think this concept really, this art, it sums the album up quite well, really, because I think it's very different and very cool, but it's different. You always expect something a little bit different from Carcass. I mean, yeah, this wasn't very typical, but Carcass aren't typical. You weren't shocked at it, you weren't. You expect something a bit different from Carcass every time. They've never been a typical death metal band, have they? They've always kind of walked their own path and sort of set their own standards. And yeah, I think the death metal scene or genre as a whole, Carcass have sort of set the stand. They've walked their own path. It follows Carcass rather than Carcass following it. You know. So yeah, getting to the songs. I mean, opening up with Torn Arteries is nice, typical Carcass. We're in familiar enough territory. I really like the. What's really cool with this one? It's nice and thrashy and grindy, and you know you've got all of the usual riffs and the hooks that you want from Carcass, and then there's this bit where it'll pause with this nice clean melody thrown in before kicking back in again, and that's just a really nice, memorable part. And then it's this spectacular lead at the end. It's recorded as a 3-piece as well. They're a 4-piece live, but it's just Bill, Jeff, and the new drummer. I said a new drummer. He's been in the band a while now. Bloody hell, his name escapes me. Guy from Order of Apollon. He's been around the Daniel Wilding. Yeah, Trigger the Bloodshed, and what was it he was in? Yeah, the Order of Apollyon. That was it. Oh, Heaven Shall Birth and Aborted as well. Apparently, yeah. Fucking hell, he's done the rounds. What was I talking about? Yeah. So I like the way you're in familiar territory on that opener, but then that nice little clean bit that's just thrown in there just shows you that there's surprises awaiting. I think it sets the tone quite nicely. There's a bit of talk about the second track as well, the Dance of Ixtab, and looks like the heavens are opening outside, so looks like I'm stuck down here now. Yeah, looks like oh god, it's hammering it down. You might hear that on the roof, so do apologise. Yeah, it starts off with sort of like this tribally drum pattern that the song sort of goes around. Nice, cool song. You've got Eleanor Rigor Mortis. Real slow groove on that one, and Jeff's vocals. No one sounds like Jeff, and Jeff sounds like no one else, does he? He's just got that snarl, those vicious, sort of spiteful, barking vocals that he does. Under the Scalpel Blade, we mentioned that earlier. That is on the Despicable EP, so people would be familiar with that song. That song actually is the one that most reminds me of Heartwork. Actually, I think that song could have been on there. Awesome scream that Jeff does on that one as well, where he just holds this high pitched note fucking ages. Devil Rides Out. It's got this wonderful sort of galloping rhythm in the main riff. Here's one. So again, they're throwing curveballs on this one. Plenty of them as well. There's a lot of unfamiliar territory, and they're not ones for it. But yeah, we've got Flesh Ripping Sonic Torment Limited. I didn't even know this song was nearly 10 minutes long. I mean, that's not typical of Carcass. They're certainly not known for, especially for a band that started out as a grindcore band. Yeah, I mean, this goes through so many different stages and different sections and whatnot. I'm just going through the band's albums here. Yeah, it looks like Mount of Execution, the last song on Surgical Steel, was 8 minutes. But yeah, it's not a typical thing for them anyway. But yeah, this also, it starts off with like a little acoustic riff at the beginning, and then goes into the song. It's kind of slow and building in places as well. It kind of, like I say, I didn't even realise it was 10 minutes. So it certainly doesn't mess about trying to get to where it wants to go and do what it has to do. But there's this beautiful melodic section right in the middle of the song. It goes into clean guitar, and it's just this really melancholy piece of music with this, and a little bit of solo comes over the top of it as well, and it before it kind of pauses and rings out, and then just goes back into the heavy stuff again. But it's very sort of melancholic. It's just a really cool piece of music, and yeah, it's like fucking hell. This is Carcass, obviously the melody's always been there. You could say arguably it was from the third album, the one I can never pronounce. But necroticism or whatever the fuck it's called. But yeah, there's. I'll get to this when I sum things up. Actually, what I'm going to say, but Bill Steer, his guitar playing is just fantastic. You've got Kelly's Meat Imperium, or Emporium. The that's again just a thrashy, grindy little masterpiece. It's fucking awesome. The riffs are just classic. The hooks are just amazing. The but that's a nice little palate cleanser after the sort of 9-minute sort of long trek. They just hit you with this shred fest afterwards. It's just 3 minutes, and even then on that song they managed to throw a bit of melody in there as well. In God We Trust, there's this pummeling rhythm in the main riff. It's just like, and no little melodic section in there as well. I will remember that. They again quietens down, beautiful little melodic part, and then just kicks into this dun 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 dun. Yes, folks, hand claps. We get fucking hand claps on a Carcass album. And you just know, like, I couldn't help but laugh. Like, it brought us, that first time I heard that, I was smiling away to myself because you just know they were playing it in the studio. I could just see them doing it. And someone mucking around just went, like, just clapped along to it. And they just went, record it. And they recorded it, listened to it. And you just know they were sitting in the studio going, this is going to piss people off. And this is why we're going to keep it. You know, only Carcass would fucking put hand claps in a fucking song. But only Carcass could get away with it. That's the point I'm making. And this is the point I'm going to make later on. And then, God, we're flying through this. Wake Up and Smell the Carcass is really cool. Is that the one? Yeah, wake up and smell. But, there's another one as well. There's a real good hooky vocal part. I don't know if I've gone past that one yet. But I can't remember how it goes now. But I think that might be in the last song anyway. But yeah, the two little songs sort of congeal together really, but it works really well. And then you've got the close of the Skyfy's Remorseless Swing. There's a video for that. This is out now. Again, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. If you watch that video, because you've got the melodic introduction, and then it goes into the heavier parts later on. Great song. There isn't a bad song on this. It's 50 minutes and it just flies by wonderfully. It's a effortless listen, and most notably, it's a fun listen. This is the thing. Like, it's a fun album to listen to. It's full of, you know, memorable parts, memorable vocal lines, hooky vocal lines as well. Things that are chanted, things that are, you know, things that just stick in your head. There's beautiful melodic parts. There's melody all the way through it. And it's funny because with Bill Steer's guitar, I mean, I can't speak for the bloke, but I'm kind of guessing. I mean, there's just as much influence as Budgie, you know, some Skinner, I suppose, Thin Lizzy, definitely, an Angel Witch. Then, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised between Jeff and Bill if either of them have listened to a death metal album in years. Like, not a new one is what I mean. Like, yeah, they probably listened to the old classics, the stuff they had, you know, for back in the day. Probably, you know, I'm sure Autopsy, Mental Funeral, or something like that's still on rotation. But they're not getting their ideas or their inspiration from death metal, is what I'm saying. It seems like they're more rooted now in the sort of classic rock bands that they grew up beforehand, i.e. Angel Witch, Thin Lizzy, Budgie, so on and so forth. But it's incorporated into the death metal, and it works. And again, only Carcass can do this. No one sounds like Carcass, and Carcass sounds like no one. And they're not part of the scene. They're doing their own thing outside it, and that's what's so wonderful about this album. It's everything you want, everything you know, everything you're expecting from Carcass, but with a bunch of other stuff just thrown into the mix that's completely unexpected, but the unexpected you do expect from them now because they're Carcass. They're gonna fuck with the formula, and they're gonna, you know, rustle rustle some feathers or whatever the term is. You know, they're gonna mess about and throw their own little spin on things, and let's just do this to see if it works, and it always does. So yeah, it's different enough to, you know, make your ears pick up and go, wow, what's that? And you know, it definitely rewards repeated listens. I mean, yeah, this has been on constant rotation for the last week and a half or so. When I first got the download, was it 2 weeks ago? And it only turned up in the post yesterday, but I was away this weekend, so I only got it today. But yeah, this is a real good album, basically. Fantastic. And like I say, a real solid addition to the Carcass canon, so to speak. And yeah, definitely get it. Definitely pick it up. You know, if you've slept on Carcass and you didn't bother with Surgical Steel for whatever reason, go get, you know, jump on that and then work your way backwards. But yeah, really, really good. And definitely, if you've not picked this up, yeah, get the two together, because you got the entire session then. And yeah, just fantastic music, and really good to get this, and I'm really glad to have it. And yeah, a very nice surprise, just like about the Gates. Wasn't expecting that at all, and I wasn't expecting much for the new At the Gates album, but that completely, you know, threw me off. So yeah, Torn Arteries, definitely go get it, definitely check it out. Awesome death metal, exactly the way you want it, with awesome melody thrown in, awesome riffs, in a classic rock kind of flavoured way, in a tongue-in-cheek way that only Carcass can do, and only Carcass can get away with. So yeah. Right, folks, thanks for watching, and we've got Maiden Cast back this week, and I'll be doing a few other albums that I've got on the spin as well. Got another review coming. Might do it tomorrow night. If not, I'll probably do it in the week. Might want to give it another listen yet, because it's a bit of a long one, which I'll tell you all about when I do it. But till then, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all soon. See you later.